This is where the fun begins.
Are you sure? So be it. Did you miss me?
Someone asked me to give the best reason why someone should read the expanded universe. After giving it a lot of thought, here's what I have to say. The expanded universe respects the reader. In the expanded universe, Luke Skywalker's optimism continues where it left off in Return of the Jedi. He's fulfilled hope to the galaxy, just like Obi-Wan said he would, not like the Disney movies where he gave up on the Jedi or even the whole galaxy for that matter. The character you see in those movies is not Luke. Luke isn't a quitter. He's not a pessimist. He's a leader. He's inspirational. And he's always there for his friends in times of need. Another character is Han Solo. He's introduced to us in A New Hope as a loner, a man who cares only for himself and nobody else. But by the end of Return of the Jedi, that all turns around when he finally finds friends he can trust and a true love to spend the rest of his life with. And that's exactly what he does in the expanded universe. Han is a devoted husband and father to Leia and their kids. He loves his family above all else. In the new movies, Han turns out to be a selfish deadbeat dad who ran out on his family when things get tough. It's a complete 180 from the character that we saw from Return of the Jedi. Now, another thing the EU does is it rewards its readers. Attention to detail when it comes to continuity has never been done at such a level as when it was performed by the expanded universe. Avid readers will constantly be rewarded for their diligence as comics, novels, video games, and even children's books share connections throughout the entire series, making it almost a flawless, continuous story. And though it has its minor flaws, it's still the best overall story in continuity out there, period. That's what the EU does. It respects and rewards its readers. And that's the best reason you should give it a try. Long live the expanded universe.
Good morning and welcome to my channel and our weekly CAF chat. So if you're new here, this morning for CAF chat, well, CAF chat in general, excuse me, is about sitting down and talking about Star Wars together, nerding out on the lore, characters, anything and all George Lucas era of Star Wars, maybe even talking about Star Wars art, all of that. Yeah. And I am your host, Alora Baga, and I'm happy to be here with you guys as always. And I see everybody's hopping into the chat, coming in with your coffee or your CAF and maybe another type of beverage, depending on where you're at. It may not be morning, and that's okay. It's morning here. And my morning has been nice and slow in a good way. So just chill, slow, getting everything ready. I got everything prepped this morning with the Sith weaponry, holocrons, and amulets. So we're getting into those portion of the Sith history. I can't wait to get into Sith alchemy and all that other stuff. That'll be coming up here shortly, not today. And yeah, so if you're tuning in for a replay, thank you so much for coming in and taking time to watch. And please hit that like button, but most of all, subscribe and let me know you're here. So I see people were waiting already in the chat. I hope you guys are all doing well. My voice wants to get all raspy for whatever reason. Jeez, I don't know what's up. I feel great. I'm all chill and stuff, and my voice is like, okay, let's give her a lazy, raspy voice for whatever reason. That's kind of funny. All right. Always an adventure with OG Star Wars, right? Always an adventure. So I'm glad you guys are here. And first of all, we have When Sith Happens. Thank you for popping in and waiting for the show to start. Too bad I'm going to miss the live broadcast today. Well, at least you came in and said this, basically a hello. I hope you're doing well. You can always catch the replay. That's what it's about. And then, of course, Star Wars Marvel Pierce, one of the channel members here. Thank you so much for continuing to support the channel. If you can give back to the channel more than subscribing, become a channel member. Greatly appreciated for that. Sith Amulets and Holocrans for the W. So basically the win. Yeah. So, and weapons and the weaponry. So we'll get into that here pretty soon. And then, of course, you get to have access to the emojis, excuse me. And I do need to update those. I keep saying I need to update them and I don't do it because your gal is busy. I am currently putting together my exhibit for my art show next year in September. So that's one of the biggest highlights in my life. And I'm so excited, a little overwhelmed, but I guess that's what, you have all those, when you accomplish a goal and you're working towards that goal and that initial, I want to say it's the ending, but the initial event for it, it can be a very, emotional and exciting and all that other stuff. And it's been quite, fun brainstorming and what I'm going to do for my art, like pieces I don't have done yet, how I'm going to frame some of them, how I'm going to give my artist exhibit talk, all of that. So very interesting. And then to keep me grounded and also give myself like a break from focusing on that end, I'm going to put together a Sith, a Star Wars piece like I did with my other ones, but this time it's going to be like a Sith pureblood with Korriban in the background. So we'll see how that goes. I haven't put it together. I haven't designed it just yet or sketched it. So we'll see. And so I hardly talk about my merch. And what I do with my merch is it has my art there where you can get print on t-shirts, a poster, what have you, on a mug. So if you want to support the channel and you want a piece of the channel with you like you could get a mug, for example. I'm like holding up the mug. I don't even have my camera on. You can purchase a mug and a favorite print or what have you and support that way. See you in less than 10 minutes. Of course, that's me. I don't know why I'm reading my own friggin' stuff. And the Soul Assassin here. I was reading through everybody's chat while the intros were playing. For a second, I thought I was back in 2004. The store was playing Breaking Benjamin, and I was looking up some episode 3 stuff. What a flashback. Good times. So you were at the store. You just got home from the store or whatever. Smash that like button, of course. Be sure to catch Pierce and Rhino. So hopefully it's tonight. So I can go tune in and listen. And Casual Rage, I hope that he go check that out. I hope that he actually has his live. I know he had some stuff going on last week. So like a family emergency or something. But yeah, so go check it out. And then go to Pierce's channel for their conclusion regarding the Darth Plagueis novel. So I think it's going to be your guys' conclusion. And then let's go here. I'm like scrolling down here, just chilling. I'm telling you, I'm like very laid back, chill right now. Yeah. So, and then Star Wars Marvel Pierce, what's up? I love it when you guys talk back and forth with each other in the chat, sharing lore knowledge with me and each other. And, because we're human, each one of us remembers certain parts of the lore better than the other because something sparks our interest even a lot more than someone else. And that's the beauty of it. That's why this is CAF Chat, because we get to sit and talk about the lore, whatever schedule we're going to talk about it and share our knowledge and all that. I cheated on CAF with a Red Bull this morning. Hey, at least you got something. Red Bull gives you wings. Now my radio is playing Godsmack. What's going on today? Did CERN activate and I'm living my 20s or my 2000s? It's just, I love it when music plays back your like teen years or those epic times in your life, or you remember sitting by the pool with your friends and cousins and stuff and having the time of your life, no care in the world, and the music's epic and you're swimming or dancing or what have you. Yes. So that's, I mean, so those songs from back in the days are what keeps our memories, you know, remembering. It's interesting how the brain works in that way, right? Because one song can spark something, an event in your life that maybe you weren't thinking about at all until that song came on. You're like, holy shit, I haven't heard this song in a long time. And I remember when, you know, so that's pretty cool. And that's even with our franchises we love. Like we could sit, if we haven't like watched, for example, A New Hope in a long time, and then you put it on and maybe you put it on in a time, like maybe it's nighttime and your house is dark and you put it on the TV. So you have that feeling of theater, I guess you can say, if you've seen it in the theater or what have you. It can bring back those memories like, oh, damn, I was this age and went to this theater or whatever, and it's no longer here. And man, it still looks great, you know, kind of deal. So I love that. It's amazing how the human brain works that way, right? Ewok, woo. All right. Yes, Matt Wilkins. That's 2 strikes already, purist. I don't know what that is about, but Shadows of the Empire got Xi Your Fist by Outlaws. And so today, as I'm going through the chat, pulling up everybody's chat, replying to them, sharing them, we are going to talk again about the Sith history, weaponry, holocrons, and the amulets. So this should be good. I'm still using the Book of the Sith. Why not? Because you get to get the perspective of certain individuals written inside or annotated inside the Book of the Sith, as well as information that Palpatine or Sidious collected. Dude, you can't. I don't have my camera on. I don't want my camera on because I didn't put no makeup on. But look at this. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He thinks he's a part of the show. Look at him. Look at this. My God. And he's purring like crazy behind me. I don't know what he's trying to do. Oh, God. Oh, he almost jumped into my feet. Anyways, I didn't put my makeup on. That's been so casually just comfortable and stuff. I didn't worry about putting on any makeup, so I'm not showing my face today. But you guys did see the paintings behind me of Ventress and Voss. And so I'm going to do a Sith one similar to that. So we'll see what happens to it or what happens with it. And that will be, you know, my reset for when I'm putting my other exhibit together, So let's see here. There is no bad place to start in the EU. Pick a story that will lead to another novel or comic that will repeat again and again until you read everything. Yeah. Once you're familiar with the lore and the era that you're reading in, you can even skip around. Like, you're okay, like, I'm going to take a break from this era. I'm going to go check out, you know, the Old Republic or whatever. Good stuff. Hey there, Batu. How are you doing? And of course, Conrado. I think I highlighted your stuff there already, but I forgot to say hello. Star Wars Scran, what's up? How are you doing? Hi, everyone. We need more OGs. Yes, we do. OGs in the EU. We need more purists, right? People try to use that against me as a negative connotation of like what I do and who I am and what I represent. And I see it very positive because it shows how passionate I am about exploring and educating about the Star Wars lore. Because when you think about it, yeah, EU, the expanded universe, that's where the majority of the lore happens. But in reality, it's all linked somehow to the foundation, which is the movies, which is a very small portion of Star Wars. So once you have like the movie down and you understand what George was going with the creating of the lore, you basically got your own foundation down of Star Wars, right? But why stop there? Why stop there at the movies and be, okay, that's all I'm going to do. The EU just, I don't like anything about the EU, or it sucks, or George never thought it, or seen it as his canon, or whatever they spill. That is very narrow-minded. Very, very narrow-minded. So I'd rather be called an EU purist where I know my foundation is well set with knowledge of the movies, and then researching and expanding my knowledge through the whole historical timeline of Star Wars. And that's what we're doing here today, is exploring the historical timeline of the Sith within the broader timeline, or the galaxy of Star Wars, and it's a beautiful thing. It's amazing. So people don't be just stuck narrow-minded that the movies is it and that's all, when there's so much more to explore, to get into, to expand your knowledge, to learn about. I mean, I'm probably repeating like the same type of words or like similar words together, but it's the truth here, you guys. It's the truth that don't be stuck in just the six movie foundation. Okay, Darth Toby. Okay, Toby, get out of my face. All right. Oh, that guy. He got me back. He brought me back down and off of my soapbox there. I have to do a soapboxing where I get and talk about something. And so from there, we're going to, have our lore talk. Then we're going to talk about the state of Star Wars. And this time I actually do have something to talk about. So we're going to talk about an article I found about Daisy Ridley's illness she has, and how it's blaming Star Wars. And we're going to get in, we're going to make predictions with this. I normally don't talk about Disney faux Star Wars stuff, like, pertaining to the actors and actresses, unless it's necessary. And I believe this is necessary. I believe that, what she said is later going to be used as ammo against us, in a sense, especially when she's supposed to have a movie coming out, a Rey movie coming out. So we're going to make predictions here. Yeah, that's going to be fun, I guess. I don't know your definition of fun. And it might not be fun. And then we're going to get into Cringe Factor. And Cringe Factor, of course, never disappoints whatsoever. So we'll get into that. All right. I am rambling and we're almost like half an hour in. All right. And I'm still saying hello to everyone. Yes, everybody needs to like the stream. Get the likes up. Disney disrespects the Sith lore by not having synthetic crystals in favor of mood ring crystals. Yeah, it's laughable now. It's like you have to laugh at everything now because it's just a one big parody of comedy that's coming out now. And so to keep your sanity, you just gotta laugh, make fun of it, talk about it, and make fun of it in a sense that way. So let's see here. Soul Assassin says Maul had a modern version of the Sith disc thrower, though I am not sure if he ever used it. I didn't even look into that though. Good point. Oh hell yeah, Sith purebloods. Yes. Oh my god. Okay, so if you heard that, that was Toby. He just sneezed into the mic. This dude like is all over me right now. He wants to probably lay in front of me like he always does. My mug of CAF is in front of me, And then my Sith book is on the side, and he's over here trying to figure out how he can weasel into my arms while I do the show. Oh, he did it. I'm going to turn the camera on. It's like he's taking over here. See? There he is. Say hello. He's like, since you're talking about Sith, let me be involved in this. Let me be involved. Oh my God, this cat is crazy. All right, what does Palpatine's palace look like in Legends before Disney replaced it with Jedi Temple? There are some pictures that I've seen of it through the comics. Like when you read the Thrawn trilogy comics, the art when the New Republic moves in, they move into his palace. So you kind of get to see a glimpse of what it looked like in there. When Thrawn writes, or when Zahn writes about that, you know, it kind of has descriptions in it too. Have you watched Everest Productions Darth Plagueis episode 1? No, not yet. I have not. I was going to share that with you. We weren't going to watch it because it's 2 hours, but I was going to advertise that with you guys here to go check it out if you're interested. So we'll pull that up later. And then Pura says, yeah, we are good to go for tonight. Ready? Already confirmed with Rhino. Okay, cool. I was kind of sad because I advertised it and then shit happens. We know life happens, right? And so I was like kind of sad a little too. I was like, damn, okay. You know, so, but I'll tune in. I'll probably be in the gym listening in, maybe, depending on my schedule. Mr. Dystopian says, I'm drinking some Baja Blast. Cool. Sounds good. And let's see, smash the like button, of course. And let's see here. I'm about to do a painting or something with Darth Toby because he's quickly becoming my channel's mascot. This dude is like laid out. He's laying on top of one of my hands because he likes to have a little bit of that contact and cuddle in. That's just how he is. Some cats don't even like that. And yeah, and he's like partially in, so at least he could touch me and be a part of. Just don't get OG started on the Night Sisters. And this book here, and we're going to get into it here pretty quick because we're coming up on the half hour now. But this book here, Book of the Sith, has Talzin or whatever her name is from the Night Sisters or whatever, Dathomirian Witches, Night Sisters or whatever. I don't know why they put her in this thing. She has nothing to do with the Sith at all. Nothing, not a damn thing. She's not a Sith. This is a Book of the Sith. She's not a fucking Sith, okay? That's how okay, you got me started, didn't you? Are you proud of yourself, Soul Assassin? Are you proud of yourself that you got me rolling on that? I fell for it, but that's how I feel. That's how I feel about it. We love Darth Toby. Oh, thank you. Choose your path. Choose you path. I know what you meant. Let me see. Darn, I licked the button for flashbacks. Oh, Toby. Hi, sweetie. Sorry, I got to take a break and pet him. It just can't. I just cannot have him here cuddling against me and not pet him. Darn. Oh, wait, I already read that one. Let's see here. I'm so happy Filoni invented Night Sisters and made them. No, you can't have your paw on my mug. Okay, and made them literal witches. That was so stupid. Dude, you can't play with my hair either. Okay, he's raising hell. Oh, you're going to hear me get after this damn cat. I want to start with Dawn of the Jedi and work way down the timeline. Ooh, I know Matt Wilkins did that when he did his read and his reread. So and he's one of those power readers, like he like pushes through. He can read a book in no time. So I go ahead, do it. If you want someone to talk with about how he, moved through it and did it, Matt Wilkins is perfect. I have never planned on starting from that early in the timeline and push all the way through, but it's doable and it's time. So I recommend that. Yeah, do it if that's what you want to do. That's pretty cool. Pyrrhus says, that's exactly why I picked the name, to trigger the shills and say what's up to the people who know the real. Right on. I know. I got you on that. I got you on that. So that's why I do OG Star Wars. Now OG can mean two things, like the original gangster or the original person. But it's also originally George's Star Wars. So there you go. So it can mean in so many different ways, but in all, it's the same. You know, it's all about the original Star Wars, like who owned it, or basically being the OG of it, the original, right? The original gangsta of it, eh? No, I had to throw that in. And then the memes of destruction. Hey, what's up? Hey, guys, what's going on? We're getting ready to talk about the Sith history, Sith lore regarding weapons, holocron, and the amulets. So thank you for coming in. I appreciate that. Star Wars Marvel Purses says, after diving into the Book of the Sith, or Book of Sith, I am in on research books. I may order a bunch of them today. I felt the same way when I got my Old Republic Encyclopedia. That's one thing I need to get, is the Old Republic Encyclopedia before there's no more print, right? A few years back, but no hesitation now. Yes. So people, we are also going to do the book of the week. Sorry to have that picked out, and that's ready to go here. But collect your library, even with the resource books. Add them too, even if that's an era that you don't care for as much or you don't read in as much. Collect it. Collect it all. You know, like how they say, catch them all, you know, Pokemon. Collect them all, Star Wars, original Star Wars. There we go. That's a trademark. Collect them all, original Star Wars. I know I'm corny. Let me see. Lore to explore, unintentional rhyme. I know that sounds like lore to explore. I'm on a roll today. Let's see here. And what else is going on? Let's see here. You don't know the power of the orange side. Orange cats, I have to say, are crazy. Are crazy fun, crazy mad. They are characters nonetheless. Characters. You see Imperial Palace in the TIE Fighter game. That's right. You know, I don't, like I said, I'm not privy on the games that much, but you are right. I remember that now. I remember seeing pictures of it. Hello, Diddley Squad. How are you doing? And Holocron Library Fox, how are you doing? And let's see here. I'm trying to get down to the newest posts now. We need a 3D model of Palpatine's palace in Legends, not the Jedi Temple. So I will have to look into that, but I don't think there's anything other than what you've seen it in like gameplay and in some like glimpses of it. And let me see. I'm looking up here real quick. Let's see here. Palpatine Imperial Palace. It's called Imperial Palace. Let's look into it. Oh, it takes me like I put Imperial Palace, and it takes me to some Japanese images of their imperial structures. That's crazy. Okay, let's see. Okay. That is okay. Let me see here. Yeah, there's like images from like the comics. And of course I'm looking at the always trusted Wikipedia. Excuse me. Just for pictures. Let me just go backtrack here and just look at images. Okay. So you get a glimpse of it when you got in Return of the Jedi at the end with the new, like the special edition. So you'll see that in there. So you do see it on screen. And here is one that is from the comics. I'm going to share it with you guys since this is a topic, and you know, we're talking Sith so might as well stop it. Might as well bring it up. All right, so let me see here. Share. I wish there was easier ways to share. Okay, let's see here. Where am I at? Okay, there it is. Nope, that's not it. Come on, dudes. Which one is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So there you go. So this one right here, here is a comic one of it right here in the background. So it's a little similar to the concept art from Ralph McQuarrie. And then when you look at it in excuse me. When you look at it in Return of the Jedi, it's slightly different as well. So it's not very consistent, but there is. It's not the palace, or it's not the Jedi temple, and rightfully so. Let me see here. Where am I at with the comments? And let's see here. So we have Sergeant Curtis Schultz for a $10 super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. I greatly appreciate the contribution to the channel to support and keep us going here so we can meet here regularly. And of course, I will be having some painting streams this last week or so. I did a test run, and then I'm thinking about doing another one before I have to head out to training next weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend. Hey girl, great channel as always. And hello to the great chat from Michigan, aka Kurt Chinobi, aka Star Wars Squawk Box. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Let's see here. And I'm going to go ahead. We're going to start getting into our lore talk since we're past the half hour. Silver says, when I hear Darth Toby, I imagine the baby from Labyrinth of Jareth. He raised him. Oh my God, I haven't watched Labyrinth in a long time, but I get what you're saying. I get it, because the baby brother's name is Toby, right? Yeah, the baby brother's name is Toby or something like that. Yep. Man, you guys have a lot of good chat going on in here. Say, off topic question. Anybody played the Bounty Hunters game remastered yet? I know there's a couple people on Twitter within our greater community, I guess you could say, are the EU sphere, that are playing it. Yeah. Dance, magic, dance, magic, dance. Du, du, du. Yeah. So yeah, now we're going to get that song in our head. Let's see here. The lore behind the Imperial Palace is something might make a good topic in the future. Yes. There's so many different, we're just it's like an iceberg here. We're just skimming just the top of the lore of the iceberg that is Star Wars, I guess you could say. Another analogy. So let's see here. Sith magic, Sith magic, Sith magic, Sith. Let's see here. Toby played by Toby Fraud. Yeah, man, I played it yesterday. Cool. You guys are amazing. So let me go ahead and pull this up, because I got up this morning and this is what I was doing. I was putting together the slides. So I kept the original first image of it in the slides here. And but we're going to get into this, and we're going to get some talk in, not down, but in. And I got to adjust myself because Mr. Toby is adamant about being included here. So let's see here. So Sith history. So of course, I like my visuals and stuff, and I do have some other visuals other than the images of the book. And so we're going to go through this. So see all the weaponry here. Very inventive. I know that they also imbued the dark side within their own weapons and stuff. So very, very interesting. And I know one thing that I don't have here, but as we get more into the lore, and I should have went ahead and pulled it up. Let me see here. I'm taking a look at it right now. I'm going to see if I can find what I'm looking for here. The Sith code, Sith alchemy, all of that. Let me see here. but they invented the lightsaber as we know it today. Yes, the lightsabers was something that was used by both Sith and Jedi, but they were a part of a power pack when they started using the plasma blade. And the Sith invented basically the non-cord Sith or saber. So that is very interesting. And I do have a video on a few videos on this lightsaber. I think I needed to finish and I just forgot all about that because I was doing like this little short history clips of lightsabers. But I know one of them is about the Sith basically were the inventors of the lightsaber as we know today. So it's very interesting because they may have came up, the proto sabers, they may have came up with how it's cordless and stuff like that, but they still seen it as a Jedi weapon, right? And they did practice to use it. They did use it because it's an awesome weapon, right? It's an awesome weapon. But like people like Palpatine, he doesn't really speak for the Sith in general, but people like Palpatine used it or frowned upon it and used it to kind of mock the Jedi in a sense, even though he was well versed in the use of the lightsaber. So if that makes sense. So that's another topic in its own right there, is how Palpatine felt about the Jedi or the light and their lightsabers and stuff like that. Very, very interesting. Let me see what you guys are saying. Let's see here. The Jedi relied on the power pack since they refused to continue using the Rakatan variants. Yeah, correct. And so Toby, all about the dark Jedi exiles. Yes. And massive points to anyone who can name the exiles in the picture with the Sith. There you go. Like I never really addressed, like exactly who is who. I did name a couple because, a couple of them, are the ones who maybe invented something or did something significant. But overall, the Sith history, we're going through the Sith history on how everything was, how everything came to be. The Jedi relied on the power pack since they refused. Oh, I read that. And the Sith are like technicians. Would have preferred Rakatan stories over Dawn of the Jedi shit. That's, yeah. I mean, now that you think about that, it's like, yeah. Or at least they could have done both. Because that's both sides of the same coin in a sense. I don't know. But great point. All right. Let me see here. All right. So let's get into this. I'm going to read what Mace annotated on the side there first. And we'll get into this here. We'll get into the types and variants, and you guys can tell me what is your favorite, all of that, to share anything else. The temples, and so this is about Mace and, of course, his time frame. And he's talking about a weapon. The temple's armory stores these artifacts inside the black vault. So there's a black vault, okay? So I'm guessing the black vault is where they put the Sith archives. It's a Sith archives, maybe. I added the Zuhak. I think I said that right, Zuhak, because it's a TZU, so it's like so or zoo. Broadsword after recovering it on Bedfash, and this is Mace. So I love these little annotations because it kind of gives you more glimpse into like how they stored or what they did or their thoughts regarding what's being presented here in this book, right? So when we talk about, the Jedi took ancient Sith artifacts like the Holocron and stored them, kept them away from the public so they can be safe and not corrupt anyone. Then you think, well, I wonder exactly where they stored them or what it was called, even the location exactly. But so at least we have like what is called the Black Vault. And we know that when you get deeper into like Anakin's arc in the PT era and him wanting to become a master, it wasn't necessarily because that's a goal. Yeah, that's every Jedi Knight's goal, is to become a master. His goal was to become a master so he can get into those vaults and find the information on how to preserve life, I guess you could say, immortality, or save someone from dying. And so that was his initial goal. I mean, I wish it was presented more in the movies, but I think that it would have been more, I think it would have been too packed with information. The book, Revenge of the Sith, beautiful. So if you want to dive further into the movie, read the book. Read the book. And I remember I was reading, like, I have the Star Wars Archives episode 1 through 3 next to me here, as well as like all my beadwork. It's right now on my table here where I do my recordings, broadcasts, all of that. It's kind of flooded with art stuff, my paints, my boxes of beads, because I was looking for something that I needed to take with me for this last weekend because I was head woman at a powwow. Haven't put it away. And then, of course, within the beautiful chaos is a few Star Wars books, because I'm always researching something. In fact, I have to reorganize my bookshelf. And I have the Star Wars Archives here with me. And it gets into a lot of like what Anakin's about and stuff like that. So it's very interesting here. All right. Sith weapons. They may be primitive, but the Sith purebloods are worthy of respect, not only for their skill with the dark side, but also for their hunger for war. The Zugaruk caste has built siege engines and has even developed technologies that can tear apart a star's heart. Wow, just imagine that. However, most warfare within Sith space occur when the combatants can lock gazes before trading blows. Their death-dealing tools are as admirable for their craftsmanship as for their lethality. So this gives you a glimpse into how technically advanced the purebloods, the Sith of that time, even though they were primitive, considered primitive, in Star Wars, how advanced they were. So just imagine technologies that can tear apart a star's heart. Just imagine if this Palpatine was able to do something like that with the Death Star or something like that. The Death Star has nothing on what the Sith purebloods, the Sith of that time, can do. But still, the Death Star was a huge threat. I'm not saying it wasn't. It was a huge threat because it can destroy a planet. But just imagine that. Just imagine the lethality of the Sith culture when it comes to their weapons, their technology, all of that. Let's see here. Most Sith weapons were common by the Great Hyperspace War, but became very rare after Darth Bane's time. Only found in museums and antique stores. It's interesting how they did that. Like they mirrored our world in the sense to where like weapons and artifacts and all that from centuries and centuries ago maybe have advanced and are not used anymore, but then now you see them as collections or in museums or what have you. A Shikar, huh? Bastara Kai used one to didn't she? A Shikar? Yeah, she had one of those. It was one of those Shikars that, once you stab someone, the glass of it stays inside and continues damaging. Yeah. A lore bookshelf will be reorganized into First Galactic Library. I love that. Palpatine getting his hands on a Sith sphere would be bad news. Correct. If it isn't on a Laura's shelf, it does not exist. All right, so let's get in here. Sith swords. Well, the exiles wielded lightsabers when they fought the 100 years darkness, the Sith had developed edged weapons, honed and strengthened through the Force. So a lot of these weapons, like they're not lightsabers or anything like that, they're metal. They were honed in, they were made with, imbued with the dark side. And so I kind of touched bases with that earlier when I talked about that. This is mirrors of the swords carried by the first Jedi on Tython. So it mirrors the swords that were carried on Tython. And, so if you know the history of the lightsaber and weapons during the time, there were swords before there was lightsabers. So you see that evolution here. And so that's very interesting that was noted and stuff. These swords are heavy and require 2 hands to wield, except for the first mammoth of the Masasi, who could handle them with 1 hand. So imagine that, being a Masasi, being one of those brute type of Sith purebloods and stuff, imbued and made through the dark side as well. Being able to wield these massive weapons, these heavy weapons with 1 hand. Well, like just say like a Zuguruk have to use 2, so it's very interesting. Like how deadly these Masasis are. They're their army, they're their warriors, they're fighters, right? How deadly they are. Okay, let me see here. I know you guys are chatting away in here. I love it. Let me see. I'm going to get souls first, and then I'll get Mr. Dystopians. The Sith swords reminded me of the sword from the Aztec glass swords, that were sharp and could break off in the victim. Yeah, and you look back at that and you think, oh, okay, so did George research this, or did he, when this lore is being created, did he have his staff pertaining to the lore helping these authors and stuff create and research, or did these authors pick up on what George was doing with, being inspired by some of our ancient civilizations like the Aztecs and using something similar? So you got to think about that, because George he was an anthropologist. He does have anthropology under his belt, right? So he and then he studied, mythologies and stuff like that. So I'm thinking that he influenced the greater world of Star Wars and Lucasfilm to do the same thing. And I think that was beautiful. I'm coming up with just something that I see. Do I know that that's what inspired people? Probably not, but you can almost put your hand on it and say, yeah, they were inspired by George and how he used history, influenced by history, mythology, and all that to create something totally different and new in Star Wars, right? Well, the temple that they filmed at the Yavin had historical battle called the Star War. So it's pretty neat, huh? Let's see here. And I don't want to miss anybody's points here, but I know we need to get through this. Imagine Maul, Dooku, or Vader use those ancient non-lightsabers, right? And the swords can deflect plasma bolts and withstand the energy of lightsaber blades. Each act as a reservoir of dark side power. Pretty cool, right? Imagine that. And then the Ridley, or no, I read that wrong. I need my fucking glasses. I should have grabbed them. It's the Sith War Swords. The Sith War Swords. The way it is written, it looks like to me, I glanced down and it looked totally different. The word Sith. Oh my God. The 2-bladed staff requires great skill to wield. So this 2-bladed staff, and you see it at the bottom here of the page. You could say that's kind of harkened to the 2-bladed lightsaber, right? Kind of, in a similar, like Maul's, like Kuhn's that. Great skill to wield and is seldom issued to crude foot soldiers. So basically you have to have practice and you have to have agility to hold it. They just don't, and to wield it. They just don't, assign it to anybody. Ajunta Paul tortured Hakagram Garush with Garush's own war sword before executing him. I have kept the weapon and I plan to use the dried blood upon the blade in my alchemy. So there you go. So I'm going to read the top annotation of from Sidious. Messy and imprecise. The Lanvorok is a weapon of indiscriminate terror. Okay, so there we go. I read it. His handwriting is hard to read sometimes. The Lanvork, this is the battle weapon of the Masasi. When swung, these range weapons release a spray of whirling razor discs. The armored soldier of Damaru Krev wears Lanvork gauntlets on their left arm. And you can, like, if you look into, and maybe I'm wrong, but when you look at Mandalorian culture, they have something similar. And very interesting, right? So let me see here. Many people don't realize how young modern lightsabers are. Just 5,000 years old. Before that was 20,000 years of Force swords and proto sabers. Correct. Let's see here. So let's get into the parang. That's a P. that's a P. I'm like, am I reading this right? It's a parang. So basically, it looks like a what do you call it? I can't think of the name now. I'm gonna take a sip while I think. Let's see here. It looks like a boomerang. When thrown, this curved blade returns to its user's hands unless it has been thrown into the skull of an enemy. It is reminiscent of the weapons carried by the carried in antiquity by the royal Mashitros of the Kashmir. I have no doubt we can improve it further. So there you go. So you have this boomerang type weapon. Of course, all of this is imbued with the dark side. And, basically you can use the dark side probably to command for it to come back and stuff like that. Or maybe just how you throw it like a boomerang, it returns back to you. But imagine having to be like in depth and tune with this weapon because only one side has the handle for your hand. So it requires skill. It requires probably the force to wield it, obviously, because when it returns and you grab it back in your hands, you don't want to grab the blade, right? So just imagine that. Just imagine that. I don't remember, but okay. I mean, I don't know why I don't remember, but you're probably right. She did have some weaponry that, wasn't common. Dooku had a number of followers that left the order to join him with the separatist movement. I don't think he wanted his Sith name out there, implying that he was a full-on Sith Lord. Yeah. Well, of course, they were hiding until they were fully announced, until they achieved their goal. They were hiding, so there was no reason for his Sith name to even be given and stuff like that. They were hiding in plain sight, right? And even up until his death, I guess you could say. And then the Shakar. The Shakar is the tool of assassins. So far, do you have a favorite Sith weapon? Let me know. The Shakar is a tool of assassins. Yeah, so that right there is something that you hear about commonly in Star Wars lore. It can be long as a form, yet it is easily concealed beneath robes. A twist of the handle after stabbing a victim will snap the glassy blade off and leave it to fester beneath the skin. So, of course, if you are familiar, and we just got done talking about this, if you are familiar with Fate of the Jedi and Vistara Kai, she was one of them that was noted to have a Shakar. Sith poison. Imagine this now. Imagine having been injected somehow with Sith poison. The poison of the Malachi would burn with envy at how the Sith have mastered the subtle art. In battle, the Sith coat their blades and darts with poison. They have also been known to lace the drinking goblets of rivals. The poison can cause pain, paralysis, death, and blood frenzy. Ooh, imagine that. I mean, we know that, like, okay, so this isn't Sith related, but when you get to Attack of the Clones, you know, the art of putting poison on your own weapon, like a dart and stuff like that, it's common, right? But just imagine if it was a Sith poison. But with every generation of Sith, the poison must be improved to compensate for the species' improved immunities. So imagine that, you know, the Sith species, the Sith in themselves become immune to it. And so you always have to advance. But that's just like anything. You want to advance, right? You want to advance with your type of weaponry, including poisons. So I'm going to read Yoda's annotation at the bottom. To end the fight without killing, great skill it takes. The Sith understand this not, as these weapons prove. And this is from Yoda. Now you can see the clear difference between the Jedi and the Sith. The goal is for the Jedi is not to kill, basically, to preserve life, even though they do have to battle. That's common. Don't get me wrong, that's common. And death does happen. They'd rather, and if you're privy with the EU, they'd rather like cut off the arm or what have you to remove the weapon from you in a way than to kill you. You know, because the technology in Star Wars is that you could just get the arm replaced, right? So there you go. And Sith will only do that to spare their victim if they have a purpose for their victim or for the person. And that is evident with Luke Skywalker and Vader. Vader wasn't trying to kill Luke, so he cut his arm off. his weapon hands, you know. So there we go. Let's see here. Matt G, what's up? Taylor Swift greater than Disney, Star Wars, and MCU, and Doctor Who. Your name is getting bigger and bigger, my friend. Let's see here. In Zerkala, hail and blessings to you. I love this book. I think it's essential reading for any aspiring Sith, along with the Bane and Plagueis books. Correct. It's good. There's some things I don't care about in this book, and we already went through this and stuff. But that's just a little piece. If I could rip those pages out, I would, but there's other information on those pages I want to keep in. If you could pick somebody to play Mara Jade, who would you pick for a movie or TV show? You know what? I have to sit and think about this. Buddy, in the chat, feel free to answer this. Feel free to answer this. Let's see here. I'm going to scroll down. I remember the Sith tremor swords. You have to have 5 or 7 Jedi kills to be able to have one. Oh, the gameplay. Yes, where you get to earn. And of course, hello, another channel member. So channel members, if I forget to announce you are a channel member, I apologize. All in all, I'm just happy that no matter if you're a subscriber or if you took the next step, you guys are here with me supporting the channel. Hey, Laura at OG Stars. How are you doing? Lovely. All right. Let's move on because I seem to be taking my time here. We got Cringe Factor and we have other things to talk about. So let's get into, let's change the page here. The Sith Amulets. Now, this in itself, especially the the Mer talisman is something that can be its own video lore, because there's so much history behind it. We are not going to get too much into the history behind these. We're just going to talk about these. So, and but I do have a little bit to talk about with the Mer talisman. So Sidious says destroying one will release a wave of energy, killing all life in a 10-meter circle. So this, he's talking about probably the minor amulets. So let's see here. Sith amulets. These melee weapons of the Sith are carried by the brute Masasi, but their amulets require more skill. Many among the Kasai priests wear these baubles around their neck to deepen their links to the dark side of the Force. The minor amulets can create protective shields, knit injured flesh, sharpen battle focus, or energize weakened muscles. However, greater amulets are priceless and often unique. Users must first overcome the amulet's seductive song. Interesting. Seductive song. So I've been using this word lately since the acolyte, because of the certain type of seduction that was going on there. But like I've been pointing out, Sith will use all in any means to seduce someone to the dark side. And this right here, a seductive song. I wonder what that is and like how that sounds. That'd be interesting to know, right? For if they can't, they will be forever lost to dark side insanity. I have acquired many of these prizes for myself, but I remain restless knowing that many more lie locked in the tombs of Korriban. Of the elements I have encountered, these are the most powerful. The Sith Arbiter, with it not for where it is not for this relic, I would have not attained such ease mastery of the Sith tongue. The Arbiter translates my language spoken or written and attunes its wearer to the maddening chatter of ghosts. Imagine that. I see dead people. This amulet has you see and hear, or mostly hear, the chattering of ghosts. So just imagine having this amulet going on Korriban and listening to all these frigging ghosts there, or like going to a place where there's a lot of like genocide, slaughter and stuff like that, and listening to those ghosts. So let's see here. Crazy shit, right? Just imagine just like going in to create the Star Wars lore and coming up with all this crazy stuff, right? To enhance the Sith lore, right? The Sith history, the Sith people. Ancient Sith magic was next level. Trapping souls has never been heard of since Vitiate locked his father's soul inside a holocron, or Darth and Dadu. I have a picture of him that's coming up doing the same. The power of one, the power of two, the power of many. Hearing many ghosts, right? I can't believe I know that fucking chant. Oh my God. No, it's going to haunt me forever. Ugh, but hey, we can laugh at it, right? It's amazing how much more interesting Sith magic is in the EU compared to how Disney keeps implementing it, despite them both reaching crazy levels of uses. Very good point. Throws a voodoo doll after Conrado. You guys be nice to each other. No Sith shenanigans right now. Sith shenanigans. Try to say that like 5 or 6 times really, really fast. See if your tongue gets tied with that. All right. Yoke of seeming. This golden armature burns the skin, but through illusion, it makes the wearer appear as anyone or anything. I had meant to study this treasure before Zozan stubbornly seized it for herself. Heart of Gransley, I think it's an N there. The dead king of Grush replaced his own heart with this fist-sized ruby, which contains the soul of his foes. When paired with the helm of Grush, the wielder can control the forces of nature. Ooh, just imagine that. Wow. Having a ruby type gem holding the souls of your foes and being able to control the forces of nature. It's like it's getting crazy. Just imagine if this stuff got in the hands of like the modern Sith. The meditation sphere. There we go. Like I said, I couldn't read it at first. I was like, what the hell am I reading? The Sith space going vessel, like ship. If you know who ship is a meditation sphere. Vessel is not an amulet one can grasp or wear. It is an amulet that encompasses its possessor. The arcane geometries of this vessel's cabin can amplify the passenger's spell 1,000-fold in every direction. Again, we get that example in the Fate of the Jedi with ship. Actually, in the series before. Why am I not remembering it? It's my favorite series. Legacy of the Force. There we go. I was like, why am I not remembering that? And it's in the name of ship. And even as when Ben Skywalker was piloting ship, even though he's a Jedi, he is a Padawan learner, and they take responsibilities over the Padawan learners and imbue them within them and teach them and all that. So it's very crazy. It's a very interesting with that. So Mace says at the bottom of the page, the Sith focus on collecting treasures and neglect the study of the Force. It's one more way in which they miss the big picture. So that's what Mace has to say about that. And maybe it's best that Darth Gravid destroyed most of the ancient knowledge. Probably. Because imagine if like Plagueis wasn't into alchemy. He's more into scientific stuff, right? But just imagine if he did get a hold of something like this, how he would try to use it for his scientific studies, or Palpatine got a hold of these. Again, the Death Star would be completely fucking different, right? Ship. Yeah. And let's see here. I don't want anyone cast as Mara Jade or anyone else while Disney holds the rights. Correct. I know. If like we're just doing what ifs, I guess you could say. If Disney didn't own the company, I like Shannon McRandall, but I don't know if her acting skills or anything like that. Okay. All right, so the next picture here, let me go ahead. I thought I clicked to the next slide. So we're going to go to the Myrrh Talisman now. This one right here, if you're privy with the lore pertaining to this talisman is one that expands generations, particularly with the Skywalkers. That's why many people thought, well, Zane Kirik, maybe he was, an ancestor to the Skywalkers, because this is what made people think that he is. So we'll get into this. And I do have a picture, an image of Cade Skywalker, because I believe that's the last time the Myrrh Talisman showed up, of course. That was the last time. Let me see what you're going to say here. Looking forward to meeting Shannon at hope. I'm hoping and almost sure I can make it. I'm bringing my son if I could. I'm going to talk to him more about that. But it also depends on how productive I stay with my art exhibit, because that will take at least 4 days out of my life. And but it also, I would love to finally meet Matt Wilkins. Justin, you, maybe your wife, if she's going to come with you. anyone else within the greater EU community, maybe I'll see if I can do a vendor, and if I have a few more pieces, bring my art and my merch with me and stuff like that. And then of course bring some of the books that I want signed. So, I'm looking forward to, hopefully I can. So we'll see. Hypotheticals was the word you were looking for, I think. Probably, but sometimes my brain goes faster than what I want to say or do or whatever. So that history on the Mer Talisman has Talking EU with, let's see here. Talking EU with Shanna. I would love to do that. I would love to interview her for Talking EU. And just get like her knowledge and her thing about learning about who Mara Jade is per lore and all this other stuff. I love how she gives them the normal talisman. She gets the souped up one. Yeah. I mean, there's so much history behind this. It's crazy. So we're just gonna skim through it for this one here because it expands through generations. There is a fake or lesser of this talisman. But again, this is in its topic of its own. It's a topic of its own. I always thought Cade looked like Paul Walker. Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. Rest in peace. I didn't even think about that. Now I'm going to be thinking about that. To make room for Rey. Why did Disney kill the Skywalkers? You know what? You're asking the wrong person here. Yet that would always would be someone you should definitely go. Yeah, the wife would be there too. Hope she can handle all the EU talk items, and I'm sure me and Matt Wilkins is going to deep dive in the 80s Mets. Probably. So once I get my tickets, once I plan it out and get my tickets and stuff like that, I will be making the final announcement. I of course will be texting Matt saying, "Hey, buddy, we need to meet up. We need to hang out and stuff." And I'm a short woman. I'm like 5 foot. So I know like Matt Wilkins and a lot of them are very tall. Well, compared to me. Because it's equals. Okay, so we're not going to get into the EU stuff here. So let's get into the Mer Talisman because like I said, we have a full schedule here. And we're already past the hour. So Luke says, we forget Carnus Mer after we destroyed the first Death Star. The talisman has sustained him by possessing the body of another. I wasn't aware there might be more. Hopefully they haven't survived the centuries. And this is from Luke. So this goes into the lesser of these talismans, right? And there is a vision that was brought during during a certain time frame, and I forgot to write it down exactly when that time frame was, but there was a vision of the Mer Talisman and the Skywalkers, like everybody. So it was created by Sorzu's Sin to follow Lord Carnus Mer. Of course, there was lesser talismans of this kind here, and those who are affected are by it, or history with it, is Zane, and of course Celeste Morin during that time because Zane helped her out. Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and Cade Skywalker. Again, I'm just giving basic information. I'm not going to dive deep into what happened per each person along the historical timeline. It's very, very interesting. Very interesting. And it kind of shows how significant these individuals are. And this is why people think that Zane could have been an ancestor to the Skywalkers because of the Mer's talisman and who it came in hands or affected or was affected by, I guess you can say. Very, very interesting here. And of course, Celeste Morin, basically, she was freed by Luke Skywalker, and her essence, her spirit, or whatever you want to call it, was put in another body where, they fell in love with each other. There's a whole trilogy about that. I know Matt Wilkins, speaking of that, he's a big fan of Celeste Morin. So, so there's that. He thought that her and Luke should have got married, but not Mara Jade. He's not a Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker getting married fan. So he's not about that. So that's another story in itself. That Mer talismans caused the Mandalorians to hold off the push to Coruscant during the Mandalorian War. There we go. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't think about that, but during that Mandalorian War, that's when I think a vision of the Skywalkers and Zane pertaining to the talisman. There we go. I was like, I don't know why. That's such a simple thing to think about, and I didn't even remember it. Good job, Alora. The Sith of Mer's caliber possessing a Skywalker would have been trouble for the galaxy. Well, yeah. Okay, let's get into this. The Mer talisman, Carnus Mer requested I create this, but it shall be my triumph. My experimentation with the heart of Garush and my alchemic mastery of raising Sith spawn will culminate in the first great amulet to be worn by one of the Lord of the Sith. Its power will transform the feeble-minded into Brian Rackles, whose actions are the results of the wearer's desire. So basically, you get to control your own basic little Sith army, I guess you can, with the Rathquls, or whatever they're called. I probably said that wrong. Let me see where I left all at. It will also preserve the wearer's spirit should he fall in combat. Though Carnus will receive the first, I will complete more than one amulet. The second will go to Dripa, so those who two fools can battle other increasingly. The third shall be far stronger than the others, and it should be mine alone. Talking about being selfish, right? Because it's a Sith thing, right? And so again, so like there's two lesser than the last one being created. So, and I think the ones that were in, like, came across Vader, Luke, Cade, and Zane and Celeste was the stronger, the last one to be created. But again, this is basically something that needs to be expanded on by itself, because there's a whole history of this leading all the way to Kate Skywalker's generation. Let me see. Yes, and then getting into this right here, Mer Rackles are more intelligent than the normal variant. They even chased Vader off, correct? Again, there's a lot of history behind this that needs to be discussed in another time, but this is in its own historical timeline. Its own historical timeline has some interesting information in it. They didn't just make Luke useless. Oh, you guys are talking about that. Now Luke's taking credit for the destruction of the Death Star when all we know it was, you guys are being funny there. I would have believed Zane being an ancestor, plenty of time and dark areas in the lore. Could, yeah, and that's a thing. And that's why, and I think this talisman really kind of points that way, but there's no evidence or proof of that. I've been in many conversations with that. There's no right answer because we just don't know. We just don't know. You know what? Okay. So I told, and I meant to announce this. I am not talking about the rumors pertaining to Elon or KK here, because that's just it. It's just wash, rinse, repeat kind of stuff. So, yeah. All right. So let's move on here so that we can get into the other topics here and also present the book of the week. The House of Power. We got the Holocron. This is in the Holocron here. So the House of Power. So basically it has a little footnote on the top. Exile year 2, months 7 through 9. So they're into the 2 years of their exile there. Basically 2 years and give or take 7 to 9 months. And so Luke has an annotation here. I have experienced this on Yavin 4. The Masasi built temple of the blue leaf clutter contain an eddy of strange Sith power. And he goes in circles down here. You feel a rush of wind and a shiver of electricity. So we're going to get his House of Power. Sith purebloods are natural adepts to the dark side. This I must emphasize, for it is the trait that will make us far stronger in exile than we ever were when we held our former ranks. I have always been one to seek out rumors of esoteric worlds and their life bounty, and I do not know of any other species like them. So she's talking about the Sith. The Sith have had 1,000 generations to perfect the dark arts. The ziggurats of stacked stones and the mountainsides carved into stern faces are more than just tombs for vanished kings. When you stand at the intersection of this mystic architecture, you feel a rush of wind and a shiver of electricity. The angles of the mausoleums focus the arcane energies of the Force. On Korriban, which is a planet of nothing but tombs, the very dust appears to generate Force energy. The belly of the Golg is aligned with monuments that stood long before Zell marched across Coruscant. Shortly after our relocation to Ziost, I returned to Korriban with a small cadre of priests and a vast retinue of slaves to unseal the tombs. I could sense they were ripe for plunder. Upon entering our first target, the cloister of Belias Torment, I noticed that the pages bristled with dart shooters and was lined with columns that toppled at the slightest footstep. I lost two score slaves, but their corpse will scarcely seem out of place. Sealed inside the tombs, along with the dead lords, were the desert mummified corpse of several of their servants, which we penetrated the outer passages. The inner sanctum held the sacrifice of the greater ruler, placed in the center of a power Loki. So Loki. So basically, like if you read this right here, explains how much power is imbued inside these tombs and stuff like that. And when you get into Fate of the Jedi and Luke with Jaina and his son and the Star Kai, when they visit Korriban and they go into the volcanic tunnels and into the tomb areas and stuff like that, you have to be so strong in the light side of the Force, or it can overcome you and turn you to the dark side. So this is what this is describing, that immense power. And you have to be very strong against it. And there's also, there are different types of hounds and stuff like that protect it as well and protect around it. So very interesting bit here. You can see how this links up with historical time frames of when people visited Korriban and what they experienced and what happened to the people that they brought with them if they weren't strong enough and stuff. So very interesting read here. So Mace says, it is said that the Jedi Temple was built atop a Force wellspring. I believe that the Force is in all things and remain skeptical, Mace. So he's going with that. He talks about the Force wellspring, but in the original lore, I believe it's just the Force. It's not the dark side. In Disney full lore, it's the dark side. So which is very interesting that they did that. They made you work for that ancient Sith knowledge. They did. Did they even outline the next stories after Crucible? I remember that Christy Golden said she hasn't even written the Sword of the Jedi. They said that the Sword of the Jedi, like before she announced that she didn't write it, it was announced that it was almost done. So I don't know. Maybe she just doesn't want, maybe it's more or less an outline. I don't know. But like she even written a short story in one of the insiders that pertains to Jaina and Jagged that happened before the Sword of the Jedi. So who knows? We won't know is she telling the truth or not? We won't know. So, but from what I heard, it was written or near written, or there basically was a story outline pertaining to that with, the plot and stuff revealed. So who knows? Who knows? And she's not wanting to give it up either. So Sith Holocrans, we're almost done here. We're going to go over time. So bear with me, you guys. Sith Holocrans, at the end of our 7th day, with slaves running low, we penetrated the sanctum of the Sakura Claw. This sacred tomb had apparently lain undisturbed since its sealing more than 10,000 years before. It brimmed with wonders. Here I found scrolls detailing Sith alchemy. I find the preserved body of the Tarantatic. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I lost 6 more slaves to a rapacious pack of Tukata. And most impressive of all, I found the holocron of King Nakru. Yes, holocrons exist in Sith space. Sith holocrons are technically identical to the Jedi holocron of the Republic, but they possess dark side refinements that make them ultimately superior. Scholars know that holocrons is a box of crystalline lattices, which are capable of housing near infinite amounts of priceless data. So imagine that, like having endless data in these little bits of cylinder or triangle or boxes of data, basically. And that if you're a Jedi or Sith, you can even imbue your sentient self in there and stuff for teaching and stuff like that. These matrix can be aligned only through precise and exhausting application of the Force. We know that, like if you don't know how to do it, you can hurt yourself, right? I mean, if you're privy to holocron making through the Force, a complete holocron can be, and also if you're not strong enough, you can also be killed by it. A complete holocron can be accessed only by another Force user. And to navigate a holocron secret, one must speak to the gatekeeper, a holocron or holographic echo of the device's builder that retains a measure of the builder's spirit. Constructing a holocron can take months. A single misstep will collapse the device into dust. All of this is known to the Jedi as well. I believe the Sith purebloods may have built their first holocron after wrestling with the secret from this ancient alien conquerors, the Rakata. Thus, the Jedi might simply have copied the Rakatans, but Sith holocrons are distinct and devious. They are pyramid, not cubical, to replicate the angles of the power found on not only with the Sith tombs, but also within the Sith culture. Their exteriors are curved with hieroglyphics and stylized figures from the sorceress seal that cast curses to unworthy seekers. So imagine that. So if you're not worthy, you can be cursed. You can be cursed. So let me see here. I have a fun fact being posted here. So it's the Sith Hounds. Yes. Fun fact. Ancient Jedi are the ones who created the tactics back in the day of the Jedi days when they forgot about them. These are the short stories of a failed Jedi seeking out a Sith holocron, but it doesn't end well for her. Yep. I love the lore on the fake holocron the Jedi have. Yeah. It's amazing how holocron creation was lost by Bane's era while the scrolls were left to rot. Khan's brotherhood really were an insult to the Sith of old. All right, so let's move on here. The central crystal in the color of is the color of smoke. Oh, imagine that. They didn't have to really like bleed the crystal out, or anything like that. And it's both a power source and a repository for the gatekeeper's data ghost. This capstone must be etched with the builder's spirit in a forced ritual called the Rite of Commencement. Destruction of a capstone will release its gatekeeper, and one would be wise to flee rather than face down the vengeful specter. So imagine that. Imagine that. So let's see what Mace and Sidious has to say at the bottom. We're almost done here, you guys, and then we can move on to the other stuff. The Jedi have recovered many Sith holocrons, including the one built by Sorzu Sin towards the end of her life. That's Mace. So imagine that in the dark bolts there being hidden and stuff like that. And Sidious says, the Jedi are easily fooled. The Sith have possessed the Sin holocron since the time of Bane. The one in the temple archives was a spying device concealed with the shrouding spell. Interesting. So is he saying that he has that now? We don't know. We don't know. Oh, we're done here. We are done with this here. So what do you think? What do you think all about this? Like how the Sith learned how to make these holocrons, how the exiles then took the art, and of course with their learning and embracing the Sith culture and then breeding with the Sith and stuff, creating this. It's almost like the same culture, but new, evolved, all of this. And then their weaponry and also the talismans to help them with battles and conquering and all this other stuff. Very, very interesting in itself. Pop quiz chat. Whose holocron did Bane have to locate to figure out the proper capstone construction to complete the creation of the Sith holocron? Ooh, there you go. Kind of like a quiz I do for my Talking EU, right? Like, oh, do you remember this? Yeah. All right. So I'll leave that up for a second here. We are going to get, there you go. So we're going to get to the book of the week here. So let me remove this here. There we go. So that was good. That was really good. Gives a more in-depth insight to the culture behind the holocrons, talismans, what they were used for, why they were used, and of course the weaponry. And next we will get into magic or alchemy and using it to create and manipulate varying species and stuff like that. Should be interesting. So let's go ahead and the book of the week. But first of all, if you need to refresh your drinks, feel free to go do so.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave One, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
I hate to say it, but it looks like
Story.
the item you're searching for doesn't exist.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
All right. So I'm going to turn on my camera here. So don't mind me. You know, like I said, I just kind of stayed in my plain attire without makeup and stuff like that. I guess I'm apologizing for that. I don't know why. So here you go. So the Death Star, this was given to me. Someone bought it. And so I have no control over that with the Legends label. But Death Star is the recommended book of the week, or I would say book of the week. I'm not recommending for you to read it, but it's kind of like a recommendation, I guess. I don't know. So this basically is about the development of the Death Star, the drama behind it, you could say. Where was it first tested? It's, on our planet that it fired on, all of that. So I really highly suggest this book here. Oh, I had a bookmark here because I was reading it and I for a second time and I just never finished it. So I suggest this book here. And you get into the slaves that work in here, all of that, all the drama behind the Death Star here. So here you go. So the Death Star, Star Wars by Michael Reeves and Steve Perry here. So I highly recommend, I highly recommend putting this on your bookshelf if you don't have it, preferably without the Legends label, obviously. But it's a must right there, because if you ever want to know the history of the Death Star, like from what you've seen in Attack of the Clones, like when you first see that the plans were being presented on that little hollow image that Dooku had, and then also, at the end where you see Sidious and Vader looking at the construction of it, that's already been that already has begun. So there you go. And then, of course, thank you for following through. There's an audiobook, so go ahead and check that out. And I think there's an Audible, but I think it's abridged, so which means that it's plot heavy and a lot of other details were taken out. So I highly suggest finding, if you need to listen to, it's getting the full version. Getting the full version. Let's see here. EU stuff is valuable, right? Maybe, maybe sometime I can make some money if I want to part with it. Don't sell your stuff. It's worth something, but don't sell your stuff because you may not ever get it back. People are holding on to the EU books, making it harder to recover good lore. Yeah. And that's where like Disney Star Wars is getting the money, because people are holding on to their collections. There for a while there was people selling because they're like, oh, well, since it's no longer quote unquote canon, which is always going to be canon because it's the first established canon, right? Can't change that. No matter what you say, you can't change that. It's already down in history, And so in the beginning, people were selling their stuff because they think, oh, well, it's useless now because they changed things. So, but now you have people holding on to them because it's precious, right? I don't think Lucas Era would have another enemy that can match the power of the ancient Sith. Makes you wonder what would they have done after Darth Krayt. I know, right? Like, would they have fallen through with Abeloth again? There was no indication of Abeloth. Would we have seen her in the Sword of the Jedi? Maybe, maybe not. Pura says, my first member only stream, I will be raffling either EU book or Marvel comic winner's choice. No better way to preserve the lore than to pass the lore out to those who want to learn. Correct. And let's see, if you can't find it without the Legends banner, pirate the PDF. There you go. There you go. Thank you, Melissa. And let's see here. The Death Star plan was Poggle the Lessers. Yeah, he had the prototype kind of plan. It evolved over time, and very, very interesting lore behind the Death Star. Just imagine though, like I said, if like the Death Star is dangerous in itself. It's a super weapon, right? It's a super weapon. But just imagine if Sidious got a hold of the ancient Sith technology, how much the Death Star would be completely different. But then you got to think, maybe he did, because there was a Sun Crusher, right? Who knows? So we can only now just speculate, throw out ideas. Let's see here. All right, so now let's get into the state of Star Wars. And I'm going to pull up this article. We're going to go through it. Then we're going to get into our last segment of the chat of the day, and then call it a day. So let's see here. Let me bring it in. All right. So here we go. Daisy Ridley says Star Wars experience led to ill health. All right, so this title already gives a negative connotation off. I'm just like, what is this going to lead to in the future when they talk about the movie, the Rey movie, whether it's canceled or not? So are they setting up another setup against fans who probably don't like the Disney Star Wars? You know, so it's going to be a setup. So let's do our predictions, but we're going to get through this. So this was done Friday, May 24th, 2024. So this is back in May. We're already in August. I'm surprised that this is just barely being out there. Like no one has really talked about this. And until bits on social media about her illness and stuff. So Daisy really has opened up about how her success affected her health after she shot to fame with her starring role in the Star Wars franchise. The British actor made her big scene debut in 2015 as Rey in The Force Awakens, the first in a new era of the galactic film series that also featured the likes of John Boyega and Oscar Isaac. Though Ridley, now 32, was thrilled with the opportunity, she also has felt significant anxiety and stress after becoming the face of the major film project, and the high level of attention that had came with. So I forgot exactly what she said her was recently, but this harkens to it. This harkens to her illness. What's going on? In a new interview with The Times, the actor shared some insight into her experience of the time and how high levels of anxiety led to stomach ulcers. Essentially, a leaky gut. That's what she says. Just knackered while promoting the film. So she's talking about she's talking about bowel movements, basically. She's got a leaky but girl, that there's issues. Yeah, that's yeah. I am at a loss of words for this. I'd never traveled that much or done press junkets, and my body deals with stress in a very physical way. So my gut was manifesting an emotional reaction to traveling around the world. People say hello to me in the streets, and me going, "What's going on?" and worrying. She's worried about people saying hello to her. Okay. Ridley then shared that she worried about whether she was the right pick for the role, or whether she was good enough, something that she didn't feel fully confident with until the franchise's third film in 2019. She listed her worries. Oh shit, should it be me? And I'm good enough, and I only really felt I was by the third film. By then, I felt okay. I was chosen for a reason, but it took a long time. It was super intense. To cope with her feelings of stress and imposter syndrome, Ridley took comfort in focusing on the work she was putting out into the work. Okay, rather than the feedback, because whether that was positive or negative, there was a feeling of vulnerability. She adds, and I have a wonderful family and home life, so I could come home and sit with my mom and cuddle the dog. In January, it was revealed that Ridley's world reprised the role Rey for the new Star Wars movie, written by Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight and directed by the Pakistani Canadian Shemaine Chinoy. It is rumored that to be titled The Star Wars A New Beginning or Star Wars A New Jedi Order, and is set to begin filming this year. So basically, what do you think about this? Because she has discussed of her illness here, and I forgot to pull it up for the name of the illness is. So let me see if you guys stated it here. Hey, grumpy old ninja, how you doing? Look how Disney the Black Panther actor in the sequel practically used his death for ticket sales. All the best to Miss Ridley. Yeah, so you know what? This is not against her as an actress because she took the role, and I just don't care for Disney Star Wars, right? And she took the role. It's not about her. It's about, for me, it's about the character. So this is not slander against her. But in the same light of this all, what is your predictions? Because she just recently came out that she does have an illness. Forgot what it was now. Let me go look it up. Daisy's illness. Ridley's illness, unless you guys put it in the chat already. I just missed it. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Graves' disease. So Graves' disease. I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to say something that, and it wasn't that. So she recently announced that. And with this article and the recent announcement, my predictions is it's going to be used against the fan. So right now, this is a baited type title. She's saying that her Star Wars experience led to ill health. And it's very vague. So because it's very vague, it can be used as ammo against fans, saying fans caused her to be this way, her anxiety, because they didn't like her character, kind of deal. So I am predicting this in the future. What is Graves' disease? A doctor or medical knowledge for people in the chat. Let me see here. Graves' disease. I'm just going to give the technical definition of it. I don't know much about it, or that's why I've never really stated anything. So let me see here. Graves' disease is an autoimmune disorder that can cause hyperthyroidism and overactive thyroid. So that it causes your metabolism to speed up and stuff, and you can lose a lot of weight and all this. The thyroid is a small butterfly-shaped gland in the front of your neck. Thyroid hormone control the way your body uses energy, so that affects nearly every organ in your body, even the way your heart beats. So there you go. So it's a disease that affects your thyroid and everything like that. Let's see here. Daisy ain't the problem. So yeah, so that's the thing. This isn't against her. I'm predicting what Lucasfilm officials are going to say, and their minions behind the media. And watch these announcements of ill health and this article and similar articles saying that Star Wars led her to ill health because of her interview. It's going to be pinned on fans. That's what they do. That's my prediction when we get closer to either that movie being produced and ready to go to theaters or canceled. It's going to be used against the fans, just like everything else, because of criticism, of critiquing. So there you go. Yes, the thyroid is a bad thing to have affected. Correct. Because that is it's like a hormone factory, and hormones affects different type of hormones affect the function of every organ in your body. So there's that. So that's why it says it affects all that. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and get out of that. So what do you guys think? What's your prediction? Do you agree with me regarding that this is going to be just a setup against the fans? Because, it's very vague. Oh, Star Wars made me ill. Well, who's behind Star Wars? These toxic fans. And because of these toxic fans, she's sick because of all the stress they gave her and blah, 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 blah. All that bullshit talk that's going to happen. And, you know what? I haven't looked into that, but we'll look into that further later. So let me see. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our final. yes, our final topic here. So let's get into it. And it has to pertain to the Sith. Let's see here. And of course, but first of all, where is Vector Prime video? There we go.
I have fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure at this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
Now, before I hit this button here to get into our next segment here of CAF Chat, what was brilliant about Lucasfilm during the New Jedi Order era is, and Lucas himself, he's like, I don't want Sith. And so they came up with this badass Vong type villains. Okay, why aren't you playing? Why aren't you playing?
So uncivilized.
All right, that was interesting. I don't know if you heard the whole thing there, and it just didn't want to work. I don't know. That's funny. The clip did not want to work, but we are here. And this is what the topic is right here. And by trusty all screen rant for the clearance of another cringe factor topic. Darth Tenebrous' name has been quietly erased. So let's go up to the topic here, the topic title here. Let me go ahead and scroll it down. I can't believe Star Wars has quietly erased as a Sith Master from canon. So what the hell's going on here? So he was put into canon. Did you guys know that? Canon, aka Disney Star Wars, because we know the true canon, the only canon is George Lucas, and they never erased him in George Lucas's canon, right? Or George Lucas's Star Wars, right? So there you go. So the summary here is, and this is by Thomas Bacon. This is by Thomas Bacon here, and I think we've used a couple of his articles in the past. He's a familiar name. Star Wars quietly removed Darth Tenebrous from canon. So from their lore, we know that the canon, he was never erased, leaving the identity of Darth Plagueis' mentor a mystery once more. All right. The High Republic era is the focus of future Star Wars content as seen in the Acolyte series, exploring the golden age of the Jedi. Who fucking cares about that? And Disney's interest in Darth Plagueis may have led to the erasure of Darth Tenebrous, leaving room for future lore revisions. So again, did you know that Tenebrous was put into the lore? If you did not, we're going to get into that right now. So this goes into basically being put in the High Republic, and that we know that Darth Tenebrous is his master, the original lore. So I'm going to scroll here. In Star Wars Legends, Darth Plagueis was taught by the even more mysterious Sith Lord Darth Tenebrous. Star Wars set up Darth Tenebrous in its lore all the way in 2015 in the Build the Millennium Falcon number 44. So I guess that's a comic or something like that. I didn't take a look. I didn't care to take a look. I should have, but I didn't care last night when I was looking at Cringe Factor articles. There, an article on Darth Maul, Sith Interceptor, revealed he was believed to have been the ship's designer, a nod to his role in Legends. Said to be one of the creative genius of Ridley, the renowned designer's involvement in the project was later disputed, and the ship is thought to have actually been designed by Darth Tenebrous, the Sith Master of Darth Plagueis. And then on an article, he goes on to say, in my surprise, though, it was seen it now seems Star Wars has walked this back. So again, we know that it's funny how they will take liberty bring these characters in, change them from what made them very unique and significant, but still will use EU images for them. Still will try to use somewhat of their story, but take liberties to change the timeline that they belong in. Which makes it's like a revisionist, historical revisionist type trip, right? It's like, oh, you remember this character. Well, here he is, but guess what? It's not him. So here we go. But let's go on with this. That's my little rant here. Screen Rant first covered the Darth Trenibus name drop in Build the Millennium Falcon number 44 last year. And this is so funny. This is what made me laugh because we know they aren't accurate. So I outlined it here. I spotted the reference on Wikipedia. They are not reliable. We all know that shit. And promptly ordered a copy of the issue. We also prefer to double check the references to make sure everything we cover is accurate. How many fucking times have I proved how inaccurate they are when they were reporting stuff from the EU and in their own lore? This is fucking laughable. It is hilarious for them to say, we make sure we double check the references to make sure everything we cover is accurate. Holy fucking shit. Is this April Fool's or something? Because you know what? You guys are never accurate about any damn thing, Screen Rant. You and your so-called journalists don't do efficient references and research and all of that when you guys wrong. That's why I use you for Cringe Factor, because you guys aren't accurate. More recently, though, excuse me, more recently, though, I've actually subscribed to the magazine. I'm quite enjoying it with the fun fact files. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and leave this alone. I read this issue before so I expected it all to be so very familiar. I quickly realized the issue had been changed, slightly updated, and in fact, the name of Darth Tenebris has been quietly erased. There you go. Star Wars under Disney can't even keep their own lore intact. And they erase their own lore instead of trying to expand on it and give information. The paragraph quoted above now simply says, said to be one of the fruits of the creative genius of Rath Saynar. And renewed designer involvement in the project was later disputed. It is unclear why this change was made, but the approach of its interest is interesting one nonetheless, because there's still room for Darth Tenebris to be slipped back into the canon quite easily. So back into their lore. So what do you guys think? I'm not going to read anymore. I knew the short and sweet one. They already ruined Darth Plagueis' character. And I stand by that, by where they placed them there. They're like, oh, it's a bit of a slippery slope because there's not an exact birth date. But when you go back and calculate from Darth Plagueis' book, because you can easily calculate his birth, because the book is dated time frame, right? And so when you have this small range of birth date there, you can kind of pin down. So during the time of his appearance in their faux lore show, Acolyte, he is probably somewhere in his 20s or 30s, but he's not a teenager. But but he is, a young adult, I guess you could say, human standard wise. But he is not a Sith master. He's still an apprentice at best. So why would he have an apprentice himself? And in the true lore, the original lore, Tenebrous kind of like cheats on him basically with another apprentice. He kind of puts Plagueis in the back burner where he teaches this other apprentice more than he teaches Plagueis. One of the reasons why he kills him, there's a whole huge story behind that. Catch the last conversation of the book tonight on Star Wars Marvel Pierce channel, Justin's channel. But you can go back and listen to his other installments to that with him and Raging Rhino. The story is very complex. Plagueis and Tenebrous' story together. Can you hear that? Someone's going by bumping some beats right now. We got the bass up, got the bass kicking. But anyways, so there's a lot of story behind that. There's a lot of depth story behind that. Do we want Tenebrous in the lore? No, we don't want him in the lore. The lore is already fucking ruined when it comes to Plagueis. but Plagueis is too tall to be a goblin. Let's see here. Plagueis is just hiding out in some cave and that's not his demeanor. Someone tried to use that as a counter. Oh, well, he was in a cave with Tenebrous, and blah, 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 blah. They said, trying to say he was looking around the cave when Tenebrous and him were in there looking for, at the mining site of some cortosis. That's very different than him lurking in the background of a show. So not comparable whatsoever. Darth Venomous, yes, he had his use until Plagueis tossed him away. Correct. So there's a lot of story behind that. It's complex, but it's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Good read there. Fact that can increase the risk of Graves' disease, including family history. People who get Graves' disease often have family history of thyroid conditions and autoimmune condition from Google. Yeah. Let's see here. And probably so Acolyte could make up their own story. They likely make Plagueis the book to not be canon. The book will always be canon. Everything that's coming out of Disney is not canon. Canon's established before and approved and even helped be created by the creator himself. Disney isn't that. All right. That's why I always correct myself when I start reading these articles, because I don't want to confuse you, because they're already trying to confuse you on like what canon has to be. Plagueis would be hiding in plain sight of the Jedi, and the Jedi wouldn't suspect a thing. Yeah, Plagueis, Palpatine, once he is Plagueis' apprentice, all of that. So far they're dumbing down Plagueis for the sake of Acolytes. Plagueis is highly intelligent. And then imagine if Disney imitates the Vector Prime commercial as a trailer for the Rey movie. Oh, God. Don't say that. So I just wanted to give this brief CAF chat because I know we've been running over. There's others that were candidates, but I decided since we're talking about Sith, might as well get into this article here. Plagueis is a moon, not mun, mune of sophistication. He negotiates trade deal and talks politics with Dooku, Qui-Gon, and Sifo Dyas, right? And he is the mastermind behind the clone army. Not necessarily Palpatine. Palpatine inherits it. Plagueis is the mastermind behind the clones. And there's no fucking chip. I've been on this conversation the last few days. There is no chip. Disney isn't even the same universe, not figuratively or literally. Correct. And let's see here. And I hate when that happens. Will Disney canon? Disney canon anyways, but they don't even know that George canon is a separate thing. They don't. It's their lore. They don't have their own canon anymore. Star Wars canon is what was built before. All right, you guys. So what do you think here? Do you even care? Me, I'm like that little figure, like grabbing the popcorn and watch the shit go down, and then I'll compare and contrast. My comparing and contrast does piss off a lot of Disney Star Wars fans, but I don't give a shit. You know me, I don't care. I'm the kind of person that likes to research, give you all the historical facts that originally happened, and that's the historical facts that originally happened George Lucas era. The EU, the movies, the games, all of that, the comics, all of that. That historical timeline versus the revisionist history portion that Disney is doing now. That's how I see it. That's how I can separate. So I'm not feeling defeated and wanting to box my books up and put them in the attic. This is my way of compartmentalizing everything, because I do understand what is the real canon. I don't like revisionist history, and I'll continue to talk and compare and contrast it. That's who I am. That's what I do. Now, do I do compare and contrast videos right now? No. I really haven't done any lore videos or compare and contrast or what have you. I really should get back to it. But like I said, I have my show coming up. Because right now I can use what was used of Plagueis for Acolyte and compare and contrast it to his original, his only, his true, his canon version of Plagueis, right? So let me see what you guys have to say. Well, Disney can't. Oh, I already read that one. Sorry about that. Yeah, on a one-day woman war with shields lately. Yeah, I haven't done it, and then I opened a can of worms when I disagreed on a certain topic and discussed the clone chip. So it's been very interesting. Turned out one person that is trying to counter me has also sent me a DM that needed to be approved, because I have my DMs where they're protected. So if I don't know you, you don't follow me, and you send me a message, it goes into the approval box. Well, he wants me to show my tits to him and all this other stuff. Crazy shit, right? They oversimplify the lore. Hashtag OG bully. Well, I can see Disney Star Wars is an in-universe B. To me, it's the Calvin timeline of Star Wars, except less likable. It's not even a part of the Star Wars universe. It's not a part of the original canon. So that's how I see it. I care about Star Wars. I don't care about Disney Star Wars, or I don't care what Disney Star Wars does anymore, because it is Disney Star Wars. It's revisionist Marcus Bantha Pockery. Disney Plus is a major player in the woke lib machine that their only canon and lore destroys families, gets women to flood the market with cheap piss or whatever, and men to self-delete, destroy male heroes. And thank you for coming in, channel member. Plagueis literally goes into a bayou and manipulates his target into death by Jedi without dirtying his own robes. He isn't going to sulk around in Golem's cave. No, he is not. I care. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I do have a lunch date coming up with my son, so he's gonna bring over some lunch here within the hour, and then I gotta get things cleaned up. I do have a yoga private lesson coming in tonight or the evening, as well as I gotta get to the gym and also paint. So I do have a busy schedule ahead of me, and I am looking forward to the rest of the day. But most of all, I enjoyed my time here with you. Our Thursday mornings chat discussing Star Wars. Now, next week, I will be driving from my home to Scottsdale, which is like a 7-hour drive. I am now beginning my training to be a master trainer under the Primal Flow format from Booty Yoga, Booty Movement. And so I am helping and I'm auditing the master trainer in a certification, and it's going to go over the format of the yoga philosophy behind it and all this other stuff. So I'm beginning to learn how to be a trainer and lead trainings like that and stuff. So I'm very excited. So no CAF chat that Thursday. I'll be on the road. I was thinking, well, maybe I should just do a brief CAF chat and talk with you guys while I drive, but I'm not guaranteed that with StreamYard that I could stay connected. So with that, we'll resume CAF chat the following Thursday, and we'll get into the Sith alchemy and all that other stuff. So the next part of the historical timeline and what makes them so unique and how the exiles used them to create the Sith we know today. So thank you guys again. So no CAF chat. So Soul Assassin, you are on a small vacation. You are free to do whatever you want to do with your time. Not that I force you to come in like that. But as always, thank you so much, Soul Assassin, for coming in and keeping the chat rolling, having these conversations, and also hacking on me on certain things. You know, I enjoyed that humor. You know me. And thank you for the channel members and also subscribers for coming in. You guys all mean a lot to me. Again, no pressure on being a channel member, but if you can afford it, please do. That's continuing to contribute to the channel. Let me go ahead and take this mess off the screen. There you go. You guys are all amazing. So tonight, go check out Casual Rage. Then hop on over to Justin's channel, Star Wars Marvel Purist, for their last installment on the Darth Plagueis book. And then catch me on the Spacing Friday night. And I look forward to seeing you guys tonight, later on tonight in the chat. And then also you in the chat on Spacing Friday night. We have a lot to discuss. And Soul Assassin. Oh my gosh, free time. What will I do? Let's see here. Yoga and gym is awesome. Women taking care of their kids is awesome. Women raising young boys to be real men is awesome. Yes. All right, you guys. Thank you again for always coming in and hanging out. God, now I want to do compare and contrast for the Plagueis stuff. Now that I talked about it. Maybe I'll take time out and write down. I did find one more last thing. You guys know it's hard for me to leave you guys when I have so much going on in my mind and I want to talk about with you guys. I did find my lore notes for Obi-Wan and Siri Tachi. I planned on doing a lore video about them and how they walked away from each other and stuff like that. And when I was reorganizing my studio and stuff, I lost my notes and stuff. So I was like, well, that's not going to happen right now. I found them. So I was thinking, shit, I already have all the notes and stuff. I just got to get the pictures and put it on video and voice recording, and bam. So I know this was supposed to be done like back in the day when the Obi-Wan Kenobi show came out. But damn, never too late, right? So I already have the notes. Might as well get it done. So stay tuned. You never know. Might have a Kenobi Siri Tachi video coming up. I don't like Satine Cracker. I don't like her, and she doesn't exist to me as a love interest for Kenobi. It's Siri Tachi. So anyways, I just thought I'd give you guys that. I'm so excited about that, and I might as well finish it up, right? Just a little break from the art and all that. So stay tuned. And again, thank you guys for your support. And I will catch you not Thursday, but the following, as we continue on with the Sith history. You guys are amazing. Stay cool. Have fun with what's remaining of your summer. And I shall chat with you on social media. Have a good day, and may the Force be with you.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure if this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of a new Jedi Order.
That's just a rumor that has kind of crawled up through fandom for years and years and years. I know that Tim met George Lucas. They had a sit-down conversation before the first book was done. I know that as with any of the novels, everything is cleared through Lucasfilm, and 100% for anything as major as a love interest being developed for Luke. That's a decision that George would have given a yes or no on.
Another happy landing.